Shadows of War, A Tale of Betrayal and Valor, The Gathering Storm. The air was cold and sharp in December 1944, as the German forces secretly gathered in the Ardennes region of Belgium, preparing for a surprise offensive against the Allies. In the midst of frost and thick snow, the Allied 9th Battalion moved cautiously through the dense forest, unaware that they were about to face one of the bloodiest battles of World War II. Captain Jack Miller, the battalion's commander, was a man of great strength and known for his bravery in combat. Alongside him stood Sergeant James Collins, his loyal friend, who had endured the horrors of war with Jack since they landed in Normandy. Despite their strong bond, Jack's mind was troubled with growing suspicions. As the battalion advanced slowly through the woods, signs began to emerge that something wasn't right. The German movements were slow and disorganized, not matching the intelligence reports. At that moment, Jack realized that something deeper was unfolding behind the scenes. The fox appears. On the other side of the front, German Lieutenant Karl von Stein, known among his men as the Fox, observed the situation carefully. Karl was a brilliant and cunning officer, but he harbored a deadly secret. For months, he had been collaborating with the Allies in secret, passing crucial information about German troop movements. But Karl's decision wasn't born out of a desire to betray his country. It stemmed from his growing belief that the war needed to end at any cost. Karl was not just a soldier. He lived with an internal conflict between his loyalty to his country and the increasing realization that Hitler and the Nazi regime were leading Germany into ruin. He had lost many friends in earlier battles and decided that he would sacrifice anything to stop the slaughter, intertwining plans. Jack and his men received orders to advance toward a suspicious location in the forest. The attack was supposed to be swift and surprise the enemy, but Jack felt the orders were strange. The map provided by his superiors was vague, and the military movements seemed disjointed. Additionally, information was continuously leaking to the Germans, making Jack suspect that there was a traitor within the Allies. With every step they took toward their target, Jack tried to figure out who was selling their secrets to the Germans. His relationship with General Murphy, the supreme commander of their forces in the area, was under scrutiny. Murphy was more of a politician than a soldier, and his actions appeared increasingly suspicious. That cold night, as they neared the German camp, Jack found himself face to face with Karl for the first time. It was a tense encounter, as Karl came to speak secretly with Jack, trying to reveal his plans. "I have information that will change the course of the war," Karl said calmly, "but I don't have much time. You must trust me now, or we're all lost." Jack wasn't sure of Karl's intentions. Was this just another trap? Or was this man telling the truth? In that crucial moment, Jack decided to follow his instincts and listen to Karl. 4 threads of betrayal. As events progressed, Jack began to uncover something astonishing. General Murphy had been secretly collaborating with the Germans. His betrayal wasn't just a political move, but a complex conspiracy aimed at achieving personal gains at the expense of his soldiers' lives. Karl revealed to Jack that Murphy had been negotiating with German General Rommel to hand over key Allied positions in exchange for a high-ranking post once the war ended. But things were not that simple. Karl knew that one misstep now could cost them all their lives. Jack and James began moving cautiously, trying to uncover more of the conspiracy's threads, while the soldiers were increasingly feeling trapped between two fires: the German threat and the betrayal of their own leaders. A double betrayal. While the battle raged on, another truth emerged. Karl was not just a spy for the Allies. He was a double agent. He wasn't only working for the Allies. He was trying to manipulate the conflict in favor of a group of German officers who were plotting against Hitler. These officers, like General Erwin Rommel, believed that Hitler had driven Germany toward disaster and were planning to overthrow him. Karl's plan was to use the Allies as a tool to aid in this coup against the Nazi leadership. But he wasn't the only one who knew about it. General Murphy was aware of what was happening and was using the situation to his advantage. As Jack and James fought side by side with their men against the German forces, the betrayal became even more tangled. They had to decide who they could trust and how they could survive this deadly web they found themselves trapped in. The sacrifice. As the situation reached a boiling point, Jack made a decisive choice. He had to stop General Murphy at any cost before he could execute his twisted plan. At the same time, Karl was ready to make his final sacrifice. He had decided to fully join the Allies, even though he knew it could lead to his arrest or execution as a traitor. In a brutal battle inside dusty, snow-covered trenches, Jack and Karl fought side by side for the first time. Despite the lack of complete trust, the common need for survival drove them to work together. As the battle progressed, soldiers fell one by one, and blood stained the white ground, just as secrets spilled out one by one. Karl told Jack that Murphy's final plan involved handing over the entire battalion's positions to the Germans, which would deliver a devastating blow to the Allies on the Western Front. If the plan succeeded, the Allies would lose control of the front lines. The final confrontation. Jack had no other choice. With a small group of his remaining men, he infiltrated General Murphy's headquarters, where secret negotiations were taking place with the German officers. It was here that the final confrontation occurred. Jack stood before the general, who tried to justify his actions by saying, "This war won't end without sacrifices. Some losses are necessary for peace." But Jack refused to accept these excuses. With a massive explosion in the background, the result of a surprise Allied attack after learning of the betrayal, Jack confronted the general and exposed his treachery. The end. The battle ended with an Allied victory, but the cost was high. Jack lost many of his men, including James, who sacrificed himself to save the rest of the battalion from a German ambush. Karl, after his role as a double agent was revealed, was handed over to the Allies, but Jack helped him escape, giving him a chance to start a new life. Over time, that battle became a symbol of both courage and betrayal. General Murphy was tried for treason, and Karl vanished into the shadows, perhaps to live a new life far from the war. As for Jack, he returned home, but his spirit remained forever tied to those moments filled with fear and treachery, where he had faced both enemies and betrayals all around him.